the SEC's best cornerback on defense, a constant threat on special teams. On September 12th against South Carolina, he was on the field for a school record 86 plays. In fact, folks at Georgia insist that Bailey does things Woodson never dreamed about.
I don't want to disrespect anybody, but Charles Woodson's better be pretty good to be compared with him.
Woodson's offensive use was sparingly. I guess that was because that's what they chose to do with him. But right now, Champ's been, pretty much who we've relied on offense for our big plays. And I think he stacks up probably better than him.
The way I look at the Heisman is if you have a team and you're going to start out a team, the first player you want on that team is one that you can build around. Well, Champ Bailey can do it all. He can play defense, he can play offense, he can play special teams. At halftime, I bet you he could play somewhere in the band.
I think my edge might be on special teams. I mean, I try to do a lot more on special teams than just run the ball. I try to block more, and I mean, if you watch films closely, you can probably see me pancaking a few guys.
Teammates and coaches who see Bailey every day say he still does things that make them go, wow. And with each wow, the legend of Champ Bailey grows.
From my standpoint, there's a lot of wows to go about because there's so many of them. But, for instance, against Florida, his first year, we got pummeled, but he jumped up and blocked the extra point, and pictures in the Florida Times-Union, it looks like he was about 8 feet off the ground. And then this year, jumping about 16 yards and diving for the catch against South Carolina.
Like Woodson, Georgia fans believe Bailey can win the Heisman Trophy. And also like Woodson, Bailey is likely to leave early and take his talents to the NFL.
That's every athlete's dream, to go to the next level and be successful at it. But I also want to come back to school and get my degree.
But before he goes, Georgia's latest legend in residence has some unfinished business.
I can look back at Woodson and say he won a national championship, he won the Heisman, and all these individual awards and everything. I mean, he basically swept it all, that you can win. But the main thing was the national championship. If I could leave and say that we did that, then, I'll look back and have no regrets at all.
This is a guy who could win the Biletnikoff Award as the best receiver and the Thorpe Award as the best DB. Bailey's production through 3 games compares favorably with what Woodson did last year. Tackles about the same, interceptions, 1 apiece this far into the season. Offensively, Bailey has 11 catches, averaging 19.8 per grab, 2 TDs to Woodson's 1. Georgia LSU, 7 p.m. Eastern tonight on ESPN.
That's one of the reasons Georgia's climbing in the polls. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 Eastern. I'm Gary Miller.
I'm Jack Edwards. Time now for College Game Day live from Columbus. So long.
In Columbus, it's called the Skull Session. The big football Saturday, it gets things cranked up to a fever pitch. College Game Days on the road, heading to Buckeye Land, where #1 Ohio State awaits the young but hungry Lions.
We're not going to stop them. There's no way anybody's going to stop this football team.
The waiting is over down in the Bayou as 2 of the SEC's unbeatens get set for a primetime battle, while the Gators and the Vols both hit the road for major tests before next week's big games.
Evans down the sideline. He might take it. Touchdown.
The Big Red continues its quest for the top spot in Kansas City, while Washington looks to regroup from last week's spanking against the Cats at home. College Game Day calling the Big Horseshoe home. Next. Good morning and welcome to Columbus. We are across the street from the old shoe, the Big Ten opener for the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions, and wouldn't have it any other way. There is a chill in the air. Folks have the rain gear, the short ones anyway. Gray skies, cookouts are going. Saw the geese flying south this morning as we drove to the stadium. It's going to be a lot of fun. Welcome, Chris Fallow, along with the former guest of honor, many a Buckeye homecomings, Lee Corso. Kirk Herbstreit playing a home game here. This is perhaps the biggest social event since the Herbstreit-Butler wedding. The impact felt all the way to warm and dry Tempe. A couple of unbeaten Big Ten behemoths Ohio State, everybody's number one. A lot of swagger with the Buckeyes. John Cooper hopes not too much. Meanwhile, Jofa's laying it on pretty thick, calling Ohio State perhaps the best team he's faced in a half-century. He loves the underdog role. Paterno has beaten 4 number-1 teams, but his 98 unit and experience a little bit unsteady in places so far. As Lions linebacker Brandon Short said, the time for development is over. It's time to play. They'll get after it in a little more than an hour across the street. For ABC's Keith Jackson and Bob Greasy will call it. Keith?
Well, Chris, I think the outcome of this ball game is going to impact the water cooler conversation for some time. I thought the coaches were reasonably forthright in their assessment of the upcoming game.
Well, we're not going to stop them. I think that's, people think you're going to stop Ohio State. You're not going to stop them. They're going to move the football and they're going to score points. I think we have to be careful we don't give up a good field position because of a careless kicking game. And when the offense has the football, they have to move it some and keep it some so the defense doesn't have to do something that nobody can do.
I think they're going to come after our quarterback, Joe Germain. I think they're going to be very aggressive defensively, play a lot of man coverage, a lot of bump coverage, and get up in our face and try to shut down our running game and dare us to throw the football and try to punish the quarterback. And offensively, I think they'll try to run the ball down our throats like they did last year.
Now a comment from our analyst, Mr. Robert A. Greasy.
Thank you, sir. Well, talking with Joe last night, you know, his skill players are young. His quarterback is young, his receivers are young, his running backs are young, and it's like a woe is me. But he's got a lot of good players on that team. He says that this is the best team he's ever seen, Ohio State have in his 49 years. And I say, Joe, go back and look at your 94 team and compare this Ohio State team to that one. They compare pretty favorably. It should be a good ball game. Joe's players are young. Ohio State's players are experienced.
Now let's go down on the field where we're still looking for his sweater. Here's Steve Cyphers.
Thanks, Keith. Well, you know, for the fans and the media, Penn State comes into this game possibly with more questions about it than it has answers. There's one school of thought that says the Nittany Lions are pretty good. They're undefeated and they're ranked 7th in the country. But being a 2-touchdown underdog today, there's another school of thought that suggests maybe they're not that good. And then there's the Joe Paterno school of thought, which discounts all other schools of thought.
There's so many things that are in the papers that really don't make much sense, and a lot of it can be annoy and aggravating. So I don't read it, so I don't know what they're saying about it. And they don't know as much about the team as I think I know.
We're not focusing on media. We're not focusing on individual talents or individual goals or anything along that nature. We're just trying to focus in on the team goals and stay team-oriented and try and work with the guys that we have on the field and try and get things going.
Maybe coming in underdogs and guys kind of sleep on us. Hopefully, you know, maybe we can open some eyes. And if that's the case, you know, we'll be happy.
And now about the weather. We've got rain forecast throughout the game. That's the bad news. The good news is that the field was covered yesterday afternoon, well before the front moved in, and the tarp was not removed until just about 28 minutes ago, so the footing should be good. That's it from here in the stadium, Chris. Back to you on the set.
All right, Steve. Here's the ugly story of Jofa's last couple of visits to Columbus. No running, no passing, no defense, no contest. They haven't scored a touchdown until the fourth quarter of those games. Penn State, though, the bigger story behind all those numbers, we saw 2 years ago. They played timidly in this stadium. Now, a lot of visitors look bad here. 23 out of 24 at home for Ohio State.
Including yours truly. Hey, my 2 favorite words come in here when it comes to talking about Ohio State first football. Urgency and redemption. First of all, Ohio State's #1, but the urgency comes #2 Nebraska, bomb #7 Washington 55-7, and the Buckeyes got to answer. And #2, Penn State beat them last year, redemption. But remember, Penn State is not Toledo, my friend. This is a good football team they're playing.
Oh, yeah, this is a great football team. You know, one of the factors to watch in today's game will be when Penn State has the ball, the inexperienced quarterback of Kevin Thompson and Rashard Casey. They're not accustomed to seeing a crowd like we're seeing right now, let alone once they get in the stadium. The other thing to keep in mind is the Buckeye defense is aware of the inexperience of the quarterbacks. They will disguise coverages, try to make them think they're blitzing when they're not, and vice versa, just to try to play with the minds of those Penn State quarterbacks. They're going to have a hard time communicating with this kind of crowd.
I think so. A lot of quarterback tandems work out okay until you get in front of a loud, hostile crowd and a very good defense. All right, now, in their off week, quite a few Buckeyes told us they tuned in to Nebraska's thrashing of Washington. They watched 7 coaches change their first-place votes over to the Cornhuskers. If they'd been on O Street, downtown Lincoln, Saturday night, they would have heard the talk. The Cornhuskers say, we want Ohio State. 93 days from today, down in Tempe, that national championship game for the whole enchilada, and also that Sears trophy that's here today. Now, just for fun, we checked with the smart guys in Las Vegas. They couldn't decide which team, Ohio State or Nebraska, would be a slight favorite. It's the matchup the BCS wants at this point. But it's a long way to go. Frank Solich wants to focus on the other OSU today, Oklahoma State. He wants a repeat of the Huskers' dominance against Washington.
The running game was going well, the option part of it, the power game. When we wanted to throw, we were able to throw, and so it kind of steamrolled on Washington, I believe. And then defensively, we played a complete game, and I think our special teams did well. So all in all, it was about as good as we could have hoped for.
Now, Nebraska's got 6 upsets to avoid before that big collision with Kansas State in Manhattan. But some other national title contenders, unbeaten teams anyway, have check-em-out games the next couple of weeks. The shakeout Saturday in the SEC. K-State, the first stiff test in Boulder next Saturday. UCLA, a big road test in Tucson. There are now 16 unbeaten in the coaches' poll. A lot of them are pretenders. And barring any upsets, Tony Barnhart, this number is going to be reduced by at least 6 in the next couple of weeks. He joins us now from Auburn. Tony?
Good morning, Chris, from Auburn. And, you know, you raised the question, is the BCS concerned? Of course they're concerned, but I talked to Roy Kramer of the SEC, and he said if we can just get through the next couple of weeks and have 5 or 6 undefeated teams left, they should be in pretty good shape. But I'll tell you this, our friends in the BCS are definitely pulling for Ohio State, because, Kirk, if your boys win today, a lot of people think they're going to run the table.
My boys, let's tell you, I understand. I understand the concerns for the BCS. I also, looking at this situation with these teams, I think Ohio State has a very good chance. I don't think the BCS has to worry too much at this point. The Buckeyes play everybody that is tough on their schedule at home, including Penn State today, and they'll be favored in every game. The other team, Nebraska. They're going to go unbeaten into Manhattan, and you're assuming Kansas State goes undefeated going into that game. The winner of that game will be undefeated. So I think there will be 2 teams undefeated, Ohio State and Kansas State or Nebraska, whoever wins that game.
Kirk, at the beginning of the season, all the top teams in Division 1A, for the first time in history, had one goal. That's to win all their games and play the national title game in Tempe. But it's interesting to me to watch as top teams lose, like Florida State, Florida, Michigan, and Arizona State. They change their tune, and they all say, we want to win our conference. Baloney. Yeah, forget about it. They want that national championship game. They got to change their goals.
That's right. Speaking of the Bowl Championship Series and that formula, you know, computer rankings are part of it, 1/4 of the whole thing. The New York Times is one of them. I know it's early. It's the first New York Times poll. Yes, Ohio State is number 1. But Penn State is 25th. UCLA 21st. TCU is 13th. Only through September's games, give them the benefit of the doubt, but that's something to keep an eye on. Meanwhile, Tony, down in your beloved SEC, a rare Saturday, the Eastern powerhouse is visiting the Western teams, games you won't see after next season for another 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, Chris, I tell you what, you mentioned those 3 SEC East teams on the road. I think the most vulnerable one of all could be Tennessee here at Auburn, where we got a chance to get some rain today. Now, the Vols are going to be playing without 2 key seniors, linebacker Al Wilson and tackle Jarvis Rito. But Coach Philip Former told me that after the Syracuse win, he thinks this team is tough enough to win on the road. But I tell you, Kirk, I still think this is a dangerous game for Tennessee.
I do, too. Tony, a little picture-in-picture there. We can see in the background. I think another big SEC game is going to be Alabama hosting the Florida Gators. For Bama to have any chance at all, they've got to do more than just hand the ball off to Sean Alexander. Their quarterback, J.D. Phillips, must play better than he did last week. And the other thing is the coaches for Alabama. They kind of blew a fuse last week. They panicked. They went back to the conservative Alabama approach. They need to throw the ball, open things up to have any chance at all against that Gator defense.
I want to talk about LSU because LSU is a very confident football team. They've won 7 out of the last 8 ball games, including a big win over Notre Dame in a bowl game. That win carried them through spring training, conditioning, and into the fall. They're confident and they're excited, and that makes the Tigers a very good football team.
Some showers at Auburn and in Tuscaloosa. Also in that Arkansas game, the Hogs, the other SEC unbeaten team, taking on Kentucky in a very important game for them. A lot more coming up. Predictions on those SEC games, plenty. On Ohio State, Penn State. He's had a tough off-season, but in the first Saturday in October, Penn State will meet a very motivated Andy Katzenmoyer.
I've been doubting my entire life, and I've always proved people wrong. I set a goal to be eligible, and I did.
Ricky Williams back on track for the record. Heavy heart this Saturday, more in his special relationship with Doak Walker. And speaking of special, the misery is over at Prairie View. Finally a win. Where do they go from here? We're coming back to Columbus. Counting down to the Buckeyes and the Nittany Lions on College Game Day.
The 1999 Outback Bowl.
We got Woody in the house here. That wasn't the real Coach Hayes. Don't worry. His cabin, by the way, was auctioned off last night, $70,000. Today at the Cotton Bowl, the most famous black college football program takes on the most infamous. It's Grambling against Prairie View. The news, for the first time in 9 years when the Panthers take the field, it's the other cats with the losing streak. Rookie coach Doug Williams has lost 2 in a row. After a decade of having their own hearts torn out, finally Prairie View got to tear down their goalposts. Some ecstasy after all the agony. Finally, a glimpse of the view from the top.
As the millennium approaches, so do the signs and wonders and news of the weird.
Buses were right over there when we got here. We looked over here and we were like, wow, the goalposts are really gone.
Okay, I'll come back this way to the room.
A precious relic, more proof of the miracle, hangs in the apartment at Prairie View Center, Wayne Ingram.
This is where I keep the turf. The game we won Saturday against Langston. But keep it as long as I live, because to me it's very valuable.
People think it's a joke, but it ain't no joke. I promise you that. Come Saturday, we're going to put it in their face.
There's a new swagger in Pantherland. After 80 straight losses, 19 shutouts, 9 long-suffering years of being outscored by nearly 3,000 points, last Saturday night, the Panthers finally got their groove back.
From people all across the country, congratulations are flowing in to salute the proud Prairie View Panthers.
I know we only won 1 game, but it's like we won a championship or something. That's how everybody treating it, like we won a championship.
He's a star. In my history class, of course, I come in there late, and they were showing, they had the TV set up for me, and the teacher had recorded it. The biggest change since winning that game is everything. I mean, the attitude, everybody on the team, we know we can win. I mean, we go out to practice with confidence now.
Here we go. Football, life here is fun again. You know, we're not the laughing stock of America.
Instead of looking at the band, they're going to come watch the team now.
The timing of the win and its drama will only add to the legend. A week after a violent band brawl with Southern University had angered and embarrassed the school, Prairie View head coach Greg Johnson returned to Langston. 9 years earlier, he had been an assistant coach there and helped hang loss number 1 of the streak on the Panthers. An early Prairie View lead appeared to be slipping away as Langston scored with 34 seconds left and set up to attempt a 2-point conversion. Standing with his back to the goal line was a 5'11" linebacker nicknamed Mighty.
At halftime, I had that winning tasting. 4 years, it's been 4 long years since I had that tasting. It was unbelievable. I stuck my head in there, got a piece of it. No good. No good. Then we went crazy. I feel like we're seeing straight now. This is like my old vision back when I had, a little different vision, but now I got some new glasses on. So it's a whole different view.
We're the team, we're the ones who broke the streak, okay? And now life can go on.
Good for them, but there is still the matter of the other streak. Prairie View has lost 51 consecutive conference games. That's the goal against Grambling. You can now redirect your prayers, by the way, to Pennsylvania. Not the Nittany Lions, but Cheney University now owns the nation's longest losing streak at 35.
On Campus is presented by Outback Steakhouse. For a legendary steak, fresh fish, or tender chicken, get the Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right.
Coming up, Ricky Williams tells us why the Heisman winner from 50 years ago was so special to him. And we'll break down those games down in the SEC. Peerless Price, so they walking into a trap at Auburn. Coming back. kind of the goofy periphery of a big game, Columbus certainly takes the cake. That is an actual cake representing Ohio Stadium. Well, it's a tale of two quarterbacks from the same recruiting class. T. Martin from Alabama. He went to Tennessee. Ben Lear from Georgia went down to Auburn. Both of them sat behind stars. Both of them now first-year starters trying to feel their way through. The big difference is T. Martin has the benefit of a strong running game. Laird's Auburn offense, one of only 6 in Division 1A, that hasn't yet hit 20 points in a game so far. Tony B., the folks down there at Auburn, inside and outside the program, getting a little restless, huh?
Yeah, I think you're right, Chris. You know, I was here earlier in the week, and I'll tell you, this is a team that's feeling some pressure. You heard about the players-only meeting where the defense was pointing fingers at the offense, specifically Laird, the quarterback. Well, I talked to Laird and some of the defensive guys, and they said everything's fine, everything's cool. But I tell you what, if this team loses today, they're 1-3 for the first time since 1981. And, Coach, you know, in this part of the world, that ain't cool.
Tony, been there, done that, and that's exciting down there. I tell you what, Tennessee's off to a fast start with a 3-0, and one of the major additions to their program is their offensive line coach, Mike Berry. Now, Mike was at USC for 5 years. He's brought a USC toughness to the Tennessee offensive line. Now, watch him here against Florida knock him off the ball. Now, against Houston, they went to the outside play with a toss. Watch the big hole for Jamal Lewis to break it right there. Boom. Now, here's a special note. The Tennessee offensive line has not allowed a single sack this year. Tennessee's offensive line, they're balancing their kicking game. I think Tennessee beats Auburn.
It's going to be a close game. You know, everybody knew when you look at T. Martin starting in his first year, that Tennessee was going to try to run the ball with the big guy, Jamal Lewis. But the big surprise has been the production they've gotten from their fullback, Sean Bryson. Bryson has been unbelievable. He's been a good runner throughout his career. But with Lewis, the featured back, he's kind of been on the back burner until now. He's averaging 13 yards per carry. And, yeah, he's dangerous when he catches the ball out of the backfield. He's got about 5 receptions on the year, averaging 17 yards reception. Auburn's had 2 weeks to get ready for this game, and brother Bill Oliver will have his defense ready. Look for Tennessee initially to wear him down running the ball, and then T. Martin's going to make some crucial throws to get it done. I think Tennessee wins by about a touchdown.
Good. Oh, brother Bill likes to confuse the young quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
T. Martin will see coverages he's never seen before. If it's raining, edge Tennessee with the running game?
Yeah, I think so with the big guy. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Auburn fans enjoyed their off week. They watched the Crimson Tide debacle that's being called Tide Panic. The worst loss since '57, the Ears Whitworth era. The last thing a Bama coach wants is to be associated with Ears Whitworth. Now the mighty Gators come calling. The challenge is to avoid a sequel to the spiral that started last year when Bama lost to the Razorbacks. The coaches are questioning some players' hearts. Some players are questioning the coaches' heads. Tony, is it fitting to get ugly down there again?
Well, I tell you, Chris, today I think Alabama has got to make a stand. They don't have to beat Florida, but they've got to compete because, frankly, a lot of people felt they went in the tank last week against Arkansas. I talked to Coach Steve Spurrier. He said he thinks he'll get the Tide's best shot. He said Alabama is still Alabama. I don't know. Kirk, I think we're going to find out today if Alabama still has the right stuff.
Yeah, today's D-Day for Alabama pretty much. As much as Alabama talks about trying to spread out the Florida defense with formations, they still want to run the ball with Sean Alexander, which is going to be very tough to do against that Gator defense up front with Ed Chester and Reggie McGrew. They clog up that middle as good as anybody in the country, and then they allow the speed of that Gator defense to make some plays. Watch McGrew and Chester here, both of them 285 pounds, one of them's 295 pounds, and when you clog up the middle, you allow their linebackers, probably athletically the best trio in college football. Watch Mike Peterson right there make a big hit, and Peterson runs a 4.5. The last 2 games, Florida has given up 4 big plays for touchdowns, and I don't think Alabama is really going to pressure them through the air, and I think that's why Bama today is in for a long day. Florida, if they avoid the big play, will bomb Alabama.
And they'll bomb them with 2 quarterbacks. And everybody in the country is talking about these teams using 2 quarterbacks. Well, let me tell you, there's a difference between using 2 quarterbacks and alternating them every other play like Steve Spurrier does. Steve Spurrier is the only coach in America that has the nerve to alternate 2 quarterbacks every play. Doug Johnson, number 12. Jesse Palmer, number 7. They threw for 452 yards and 7 touchdowns against Kentucky last week. Steve Spurrier is the best quarterback coach in all of football. I think Florida's defense and their kicking game will outscore Alabama's offense tonight.
I think we agree on
Speaking
this
of
one.
Spurrier,
Yeah,
you know that his first visit to Tuscaloosa, he was a backup quarterback, came in, got his teeth knocked out. get some bridge work done.
Yeah.
They almost pulled the upset, though. Bama won the national championship that year. Coming up, plenty on Ohio State and Penn State. And next, we'll hear from Ricky Williams, battling for records, battling for another Doak Walker Award, and we'll explain why that means so much to him. We're coming back from Columbus. Plenty on the big game here still ahead.
Rogaine.
Yeah, going down, little man. Bring it on. I'm 74 years old, and I can still whoop up on you. Bring it on, little man.
The only coach to walk the sidelines here with 300-plus wins is not that guy on the left. Look at that nose. There's a new team to boo here. It's Nebraska, 44-0 in October, to take on Oklahoma State.
The run. Oklahoma State did a good job of stopping Mississippi State, holding them to 88 yards, but this ain't Mississippi State. But D'Angelo Evans probably not going to play much. Look for Joel Makovica to pick up the slack and Bobby Newcomb. And Nebraska wins today by 3 touchdowns over a pesky Oklahoma State team.
Cowboys been playing pretty good defense. Now, without Evans' earlier injury, he might add to these 3 Big 12 backs who are among the top 7. Little Ricky at Texas Tech, #1. He outdueled Darren Davis of Iowa State last week. Today, Double D on the same field as big Ricky Williams, who's back on pace to surpass Tony Dorsett after 315 yards against Rice. Well, besides the records, the one individual goal, Ricky Williams really wants this season to be the first ever repeat winner of the Doak Walker Award. It means a lot to Williams because of the brief but meaningful friendship that he struck up with the legendary namesake of the award. Doak Walker died last Sunday in Colorado. He'd been hospitalized after a skiing accident in January. He died 50 years to the day after appearing on the cover of Life magazine. Now, Walker and Williams, football heroics, separated by a half-century. But as Curry Kirkpatrick reports, they shared a spirit and a sense of class that drew them together.
This was the face of college football in 1948.
It looks like a pass, but wait. Watch that Doka go. Wide to his right and swinging down the sidelines in his best All-American form.
Maybe the greatest football player that ever lived. A guy who played 57 minutes a game, offense and defense, and was 3-time consensus All-America, the first one in history in college football.
What he left is what every American young man who plays football should want to be. He was a complete athlete, a complete gentleman. He was truly the All-American boy.
This is the face of college football in 1998.
Williams 40, 30, 20. Is he going to take it to the house? He is killed!
He is a role model and leader by example. He's not outspoken. He doesn't yell. He doesn't scream. And off the field, he's the perfect gentleman with everything he does.
The finest of their far-flung generations came face-to-face last winter when Ricky Williams accepted the Doak Walker Award from none other than the Doker himself.
Well, come on up here. Let's get this award done.
I met him, and it seemed like he didn't even know that I had dreads or had my ears pierced or anything. He just was like I was a regular person, you know, one of his friends or one of his peers, and accepted me immediately, and I was really impressed with that.
These are 2 people who cross all generations, all race. They're 2 people that are very similar. I mean, Doak and he are 2 very humble, easygoing, laid-back individuals.
We were in Dallas, and we had to sign 2 boxes. I think there was maybe 50 to 100 balls, and I was kind of, you know, discouraged about doing all that signing, but he was enthusiastic about it, and we had this little rotation where he'd sign, toss to me, I'd sign, and we put it in the box, and I guess that's the fondest memory I have of Doak.
Less than 2 weeks after their friendship began, came tragedy and despair. A skiing accident near his home in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, left the 71-year-old Walker paralyzed.
And I was devastated because I had just met this great guy, and you know, he had meant so much to me, and then to hear something like that happening to him was really disheartening.
A sorrowful Williams brought cheer to the Walker family through weekly letters and faxes.
Ricky has gone out of his way to pay special attention to Doak and keep in constant contact with him.
I just felt that, you know, it was important to me that they knew that I was thinking about him. And I just was amazed that it really meant that much to both of them.
Oh, he's an outstanding young man. And a real person.
50 years apart, a half-century, the great Doak Walker and Ricky Williams created a special bond that the younger man cherishes so much, he keeps a photograph at his locker so that Walker can watch over him always.
You just look at him and you want to be just like he is. You want to be, 70, 71 and have people talk about you the way they talk about Doak. I mean, that's an honor. It has to be to anyone.
I knew from chatting with Doak that a real bond had developed between the two. That his relationship with Ricky was one that will be eternal.
The heart of college football's golden age stopped beating last Sunday, a heart which captivated post-World War II America and answered its search for a hero. In turn, the heart of this generation has been inspired and hopes to keep beating as strong.
I strive every day to live my life the way he lived his life and add to other people's life the way he added. Just, have the kind of charisma he had and kind of let that come out of me.
Ricky's gotten permission from Coach Mack Brown to break a team rule against photos in the locker. He's got a photo of Doak in his. He's going to wear a 37 sticker on his helmet today. And for the Oklahoma game in the Cotton Bowl, known as the house that Doak built, Ricky's trying to get permission to wear Walker's 37 jersey. Lee, guys my age have to rely on the words of others and film clips to appreciate the greatness of Walker as a player, but it was a privilege to know him as a great ambassador to the sport, so warm, so beloved by his Heisman fraternity brothers, and really had a special bond, not just with Williams, but a lot of young players. They were drawn to him.
Chris, I knew Doak Walker for years, and I tell you what, he had a special gift for making everybody he met feel good about themselves. Black, white, young, old, everybody liked Doak Walker. And Kirk, the thing that was amazing to me, he was just a little guy,
right.
But boy, did he play big.
Talking about a big guy, the relationship that he had with Ricky Williams was very genuine. You look at Ricky Williams, and I think a lot of people maybe stereotype him because of the dreadlocks and the piercings. But Doak Walker saw through that, and I think Ricky really appreciated that. I think Ricky felt at ease because he could walk away, be with Doak Walker, and just be himself and not have to put on some persona to make everybody happy. I think that was genuine.
Good guy.
Any guy in the future who wins the Doak Walker Award better understand what that stands for.
That's right.
Speaking of awards, the Buckeyes Award winner. Have you heard of him? Andy Katzenmoyer and Ohio State as the band marches across to the big horseshoe. We'll hear from the Big Cat. Finally in the mix against Missouri, focused on the Lions today. Have you heard of Champ Bailey? In the SEC they have. He could be a national name after Georgia's game tonight. We're coming back. The games with Miami against Florida State. So let's all enjoy this classic moment from 11 seasons ago.
Today's Sports Century Classic Moment is brought to you by Nike.
Down 19-3 to the Seminoles in the third quarter, Steve Walsh and the Hurricanes launched a comeback, scoring 23 points in just 13 and a half minutes to take the lead 26-19. But FSU countered. With 42 seconds left, losing by 1, Bobby Bowden decides to go for 2. No good! Miami wins 26-25 and goes on to win the national title.
October 3rd, 1987.
Down passes, yards. If you end up in a winner's club, you get a sticker. And Ted Provost had 13 of these in 1968. They called him the Tree. Joe Germain had 13 in the West Virginia game.
Too easy now.
Too easy. Let me tell you something. On the other side of the issue, a guy named Joe Paterno on page 181 of this book says, you respect the big plays. You don't need anything now. But talking about helmets, let me show you a helmet.
Hey.
Let me show you a helmet right there.
What are you doing here?
That's a real helmet.
You have a rare talent, Lee. I'm telling you.
Stuck that in
I'm
on
going to give Lee a Buckeye for putting up with the crowd here. Let's use that one. All right.
You snuck that in there.
We're going to come back and talk about this ball game. And also a big concern down at Tulane. That's all coming up. There's Sean King. He's going to try to play with a broken wrist. Corso says, tough it up. Herb Tyler on LSU. And final picks on those big ones down in the SEC straight ahead.
College Game Day's presentation of The Tradition is brought to you by Acura, who invites you to test drive the new CL Luxury Sports Coupe.
I should have listened to my mother.
Time for couldn't come at a worse time. Flooding, that hurt the preparation for both the Green Wave and the Golden Eagles. But it's worse for Tulane. They didn't know till Tuesday that their star quarterback, Sean King, has a clean break of his left non-throwing wrist. King is crucial. Excellent runner, also the nation's leader in passing efficiency. Tommy Bowden told me yesterday he's going to wear a soft cast, King is, and he's going to check with him in the pregame warm-up. If he can handle the pain of taking those snaps in the shotgun, they may have to run only shotgun plays. That's a terrible time heading into a big game, because if King can't go, if the pain's too much, they go with 5'9", third stringer, Jeff Curtis, a holder who's never thrown in a game before.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Tulane's offense averaged 41 points a game, and the reason is Sean King. Sean King becomes a folk hero as he beats Southern Mississippi with a broken wrist.
Plays with the pain. I think this is going to be a tough game for Sean King and also Tulane. If you look at Southern Miss, everybody talks about them being the upset kings. They've lost 19 straight to ranked opponents. Although I think that streak comes to an end today, their defense will get after Sean King, and it's going to be a tough game for him.
Yeah. No sentimental story. You never like the sentimental story.
It sounds like it is.
All three Bowdens have quarterback issues, come to think of it. Up the road in Baton Rouge, Jerry Donato singing the blues. He says his team cannot consider itself a top 10 team. They've been too sloppy, too casual on defense. Kevin Falk, he's been superb, but he faces a Georgia defense coming off its stingiest 3-game stretch in 44 years. 1 touchdown and 3 field goals. Could be a showcase tonight, Tony, for Mr. Ronald Bailey Jr., a.k.a. Champ, an awesome talent.
Yes, indeed. I tell you, if you guys want to have some fun tonight, keep an eye on Champ Bailey. Now, Coach Jim Donnan told me that if his defense is playing well, he's going to use Bailey on at least 30% of the offensive plays and really move him around. Against South Carolina, Bailey was on the field for 86 plays, and Kirk, I think he's going to top that number tonight.
You know what, Tony? I think a lot of people feel down at Georgia he might be as talented offensively as he is defensively. For LSU, their concern is they're still learning a new scheme on the defensive side of the ball. They go into the 3-4 under Lou Tepper. And by still trying to get a feel for it, that's going to be a problem against one of the best young quarterbacks, if not the best young quarterback in the nation, and Quincy Carter. Carter is getting much more confident each game out. He'll kill you with his legs. He has great scrambling and the ability to improvise. But watch this arm, Coach. This is what you love to look for. He just kind of swings it down the sideline right on the money, about 55 yards. Georgia, coming into this game, has been very vanilla with their offense. Look for them to open things up with Quincy Carter. I like the upset with Quincy on the road.
Not so fast, my friend. Cajun style. Absolutely. Georgia's going to have a hard time containing the All-American running back, Kevin Falk. He scored 3 touchdowns last week. I think LSU's offense beats my friend's Georgia football team.
Every team you talk about, they suddenly dislike.
Everybody.
If Kevin Falk doesn't get going, time for Herb Tyler to make that booty call. Get Josh Booty involved. That game's going to be on ESPN in prime time. In Death Valley, actually, they've lost 3 of the last 5 SEC games there. We're coming back. Buckeyes and Nittany Lions straight ahead. Most of the talk at UCLA, will they or won't they make up that game December the 5th in Miami? Definite maybe from both sides. The immediate concern, atone to the loss against the Cougars that cost them the Rose Bowl. Trojans with aerial genius Paul Hackett last in the Pac-10 in passing up. He brought it up, not me. All right. Meanwhile, Arizona is unbeaten, but the 4 victims have 3 wins combined. They're road tested, but they played in front of small, mellow crowds, and Husky Stadium will not be small and mellow. Brock Heward's making turnovers. Lambright says that his team will not have a wounded psyche. We'll see.
Yeah, we're going to find out today. You know, if you look at Arizona, both their quarterbacks, Ortiz Jenkins and Keith Smith, will get to play in the first half. They'll make a determination at halftime who goes on to finish, but I don't think it's going to matter. The athleticism of both these guys is going to cause Washington to fit. Ortiz Jenkins hasn't played a lot this year. He's off to a slow start, but has the ability to run, and also you can see the poise to sit back in that pocket and make the big throw down the field. Now, Keith Smith, he's been the man playing this year, and he's completing 70% of his passes, but here's where he's dangerous when he gets out and he starts to scramble over 5 yards to carry and 2 touchdowns. Now, this might be Arizona's most skill they've ever had under Dick Tomey, and I think the gambling Husky defense is going to give up some big plays to Arizona. I like Arizona in the upset on the road.
I like the upset also, but for another reason. I think Washington is still shell-shocked from getting bombed by Nebraska, so I'm taking Arizona to upset Washington.
Lambeau says don't worry about it. The problem is execution.
not the wounded psyche.
Right.
We shall see. Arizona, if they win, that makes that game huge against UCLA next week. Michael Wiley. Mom and Dad were here a minute ago. Andy Katzenmoyer and the Buckeyes getting set for Penn State. We'll break this game down and hear from the Big Cat coming up.
College Game Day is brought to you by the new 1999 TL Luxury Performance Pick 2.
The Buckeyes and Lions, a border feud that can really test your loyalty. With more on that, down to Steve Cyphers.
Chris, you're absolutely right. It's that kind of game. With me here, I have Penn State, Ray McCune, and Julie Buckeye Baum. They're friends, they tell me. Ray, what does a guy say to a lady on a day like this when you have divided loyalty?
I think you ask your favorite Buckeye if she would marry you. Will you marry me?
What do you think of that ring? Hey, Chris, that's a love connection right here.
Oh, my goodness. Is that a first? I've got to get myself together now. Speaking of couples, Penn State's got a two-quarterback system here that's going to be very interesting to watch. You got Rashard Casey, not that satisfied with the playing time. 10 series. Kevin Thompson, 27 series coming in. Will they be effective against a Buckeye defense? If Penn State was able to push around up front last year, the Big Cat doesn't want to let that happen again.
You're right about that. They did a good job last year getting into the face of Andy Katzenmoyer, who has vowed to play much better as a group. But Andy, he's just happy he's playing after having to scramble to regain his eligibility. With all that now behind him, the Big Cat is proving he's much more than just a catchy nickname.
He's quick. He's quick like a cat.
You know, he's had to sort of marks his territory.
I think of the king of the jungle with the lion.
He's kind of a freak out there, and a freak of nature.
I don't like the nickname at all. I think of myself as more like a grizzly bear. You know, very agile, very fast, mean, ferocious. Rip your head off if you mess with them.
In 37 years of coaching, 22 as a head football coach, I've never seen a linebacker with that kind of size that moves like Andy moves.
People talk about him being a perimeter player, yet when people try to run inside running games on him, when they veer block with an offensive tackle or send a fullback at him, he pretty much destroys the inside for us. So, I mean, he pretty much has it all.
Playing the role of superstar on the field in Columbus has made it hard for Andy Katzenmoyer to blend in off the field.
I went home yesterday, washed my car, and 3 people stopped by and asked for autographs. So it's difficult at times, but you just gotta deal with it, and it goes with the territory of being a football player.
Do you almost put a shield up around yourself?
At times, you do the autograph, you say your thank yous and all that, and then you kind of go on with your business. You don't want anybody to affect the way you are or who you are.
He's had so much fame and popularity, especially in Columbus, that it could really get to a lot of people. I think it would have gotten to me if I was in his situation. Is there a side of you enjoys being in the limelight?
I just want to go play football, and I'm trying to use football as a vehicle to take care of my family. It's the best way I know how, and hopefully I can go to the NFL and have a successful career with that, and take care of my family, my kids, and hopefully their kids.
Katzenmoyer, the player, made headlines this offseason when it was learned he needed to take summer classes at Ohio State to remain eligible for football. The 3 courses he took were AIDS awareness, Music 140, and golf. Katzenmoyer, the student, says the attention was surprising and unwarranted.
It's just strange that it seemed like everybody's centered around me. For what reason? Lots of players try to get eligible during the summer, and some fail, some don't, and it's just ridiculous.
What was the toughest thing getting through that aspect of it?
Probably the hate mail I got. You know, I'm just a human being trying to play football. And I've been doubted my entire life, and I've always picked people wrong. I set a goal to be eligible, you know, and I did, and every goal I've ever set, I've met.
Through Ohio State's first 2 games, he had 6 tackles and no sacks. Critics wondered if missing practices to attend summer school left Katzenmoyer a step short.
I'm still a starting linebacker at Ohio State, so they can say whatever and go with their business, and I'll go with mine.
The Buckeyes are going to need big plays from the Big Bear as the Nittany Lions come into town. Last year, ranked #1, Penn State ran right at Katzenmoyer and racked up 316 yards rushing.
Last year they just were able to pound us down the field. And plus, you know, I was hesitant on the running plays, which causes me to get chopped, double teamed, all that.
What do you mean you're hesitant?
They had some big plays. I started thinking too much, wasn't reacting.
You guys are #1 in the country. You're one of the best players in America. Are you enjoying it, even with all the stress that goes with it?
Yeah, I'm having lots of fun. Last year, it was almost like I didn't allow myself. My freshman year, everything was so fast. You know, everything was a new experience for me that I didn't have time. So this year, I decided just to sit back, have fun, relax, and not worry about anything.
To start calling him the Big Bear, the way Andy Katzenmoyer, he likes that new nickname. I think the key to this year, the way Penn State was able to attack Ohio State was because of the defensive line didn't protect the linebackers. Today, watch Ohio State get into a double eagle. They're going to cover all the offensive linemen to allow Andy to roam and make some big plays. I think that's going to help him make a lot of tackles.
The key to his offensive success of Ohio State has been the tremendous offensive line play by the Buckeye front 5. Now here, notice the left side of the Ohio State line as they stay with their blocks, allowing Wiley to cut back and make a good play. That's a tremendous play. Now, the more they run, the better the pass protection. Watch number 7, Joe Germain. He gets tremendous time to throw the ball to David Boston, number 7. Now, I like the Buckeyes. They got good offensive balance, and that makes them tough to stop.
Talk to Jim Lachey, the Buckeye great. The linemen love the weather like this. Buckeyes beat Michigan State and Illinois in the rain last year. Penn State ought to be able to play in the rain. Who gets the edge in that situation?
I think if there's any edge, it's got to go to Ohio State because of their ability to run the football and the experience, I think, as well.
Time for predictions. My friend, he is high.
He is high.
Week 1 right here, 34-17, correctly predicted the West Virginia game. Toledo, you said 55-10, it was 49-0. Missouri, 38-13, it was 35-14. Give me it.
Well, I think Penn State's in trouble in this game because of the lack of experience. It's tough to come into a hostile environment like this. Next year will be the year for Penn State, but they're too young at quarterback. The Buckeyes are going to blitz them all day, and the balance of the big play with Michael Wiley, David Boston, and D. Miller, 31-10 Ohio State.
Woo! Nice kick! Well, I tell you what. Go Buckeyes! Huh? How do you like this one? Hey! Woo!
I like that one.
The Buckeyes are good, man.
I like that.
ABC has got the Buckeyes and the Lions next. Next on ESPN is the road to Indy. We're back here all day long. Congratulations, Ray.
Burger King, home of that legendary flame broiled taste. If you ask us, it just tastes better.